Hey, welcome to the Star Goddess podcast on the Crash and AJ blog at 98rock.com. And for those of you joining us for the first time, thank you very much. For those who have been following, I know it's been kind of hit and miss over the past few weeks here, but we are on this week and gradually, person by person, getting healthier and healthier around here. Good morning, Star Goddess.
Well, good morning. I really feel like I dodged a bullet. I mean, I was actually there last week.
Yeah.
I did that Matrix style, just kind of, whoa.
Tell you what, I mean, I can speak on my behalf. I'll let anybody else who wants to speak on their behalf go right ahead. But, being vaccinated, I actually tested positive, and people are surprised. Oh, you tested positive, you're vaccinated. Well, guess what? I don't know if you've been paying attention, but they never said you couldn't get it when you were vaccinated. They said it could keep you out of the hospital, and my symptoms were mild, so I can report that.
It just says you won't die.
Yeah,
it just says you won't die. Yay.
Yeah.
I don't want the symptoms at all. You were out for like 5 days. No, thank you. I don't get the not vaccinated thing. And I'm not a big vaccine fan. The last vaccine I got was in 1977 because I had you to go to Europe.
Yeah.
And I've not, but this one was like January. It's like, I want to be first in line. I don't want this disease. I don't want any part of it. So I'm with you on that.
I kind of did some rationalizing with some friends of mine, and because I'm not preaching, I'm just pleading. But I said, hey, listen, if it makes you feel any better, I was hanging out with you in the 90s. I was with you when we were partying. I'd be worried more about what that's going to do to your body in the next 10 years than what the vaccine's going to do.
Nothing compared. Yes. Yes. I mean, I lived through the 80s, for God's sake. It's a wonder. It's like, oh, no, it's going to mutate your chromosomes. Oh, no, not that.
Yeah.
My chromosomes are like, hey, we've been mutated by much stronger guys than you.
Yeah, like, on one hand, I got a scientist. On the other hand, I got some guy, cutting some stuff together, cutting, stepping on stuff here. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we got the pleasantries out of the way as far as the theme there. What you got?
We have Mercury, the planet of communication, is joining the Sun and Mars, both in Leo. So, and wherever Leo is a fire sign. So when the Sun entered Leo, all of us felt a little more empowered, and particularly Leos. And then Venus is in there, meaning love. Mars is activity. And now Mercury says all the things you've been trying to put together for the last 4 or 5 weeks will either come to be or not. It's like one way or the other. There'll be no more, ooh, let's wait and see, or it's going to develop more. Mercury is going to tell you where the efforts of the last 6 weeks is going to pay off, whether it will or wouldn't. I think that's important to know where in your chart you learn something useful about your world. So,
okay.
All of us are just really trying to get paid and get laid, really. It's kind of what we're interested in. So,
everybody's got the priorities, right? I mean,
yeah. So it's important to know that with Mercury going into that sign. And the reason I say it'll be finished up this week is because Mars leaves Leo and Venus leaves Leo. So that's why it's important to know where that energy is going to be this week. So I think we should get right to it because that's how we roll. Leo is the sign that we are in. So Venus has been in your sign for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Mars has been in your sign, firing you up, empowering you. The Sun is in there saying, okay, now it's time to really put my conscious attention towards getting both of those needs met. Your love life's been going well. Your physical bodies are doing well with Mars in your sign. Now it's time to make sure that this all goes forward positively, that the changes and the stuff that's occurred are real and valid in your life, and now you can count on them to get your wants and needs met according to how you define it. So that means it's all about the Leo getting what the Leo wants now. And really, you got to like that because, it's the power. They have the power now to do it.
Yeah, I feel like everything that I think that you've been telling me that, and I kind of, taking your life coaching and your astrology and putting that together in itself, and I'm like, things are making sense when you talk about that, getting plans together. I've always been a person trying to get something going on. I always got a little project here and there going on.
Yeah.
Finishing is one thing.
Well, and that's because Leo, is ruled by the sun, and it's a fire sign, so it's a passionate sign. So it's a matter of finding something you're passionate about, and then finding a way to incorporate that into your life in a tangible, real way. And that's Mercury's job, is to bring to you the information on how exactly to do that, how to get it to go forward, that kind of a deal. So
got a little passion project called Golf and Chill that I'm working on.
You got to like that. And Mars has been in your sign, and it's quite a testament that, yes, you are vaccinated, but you have had some health challenges over the year, and that the fact that that you getting the coronavirus was, that you recovered that quickly from it.
Yeah.
Is a cool thing, not just because of the vaccine, but smart enough on both those things. So, but and Mercury is the promise of, here's what you've been trying to do. Now you're going to find out whether or not you can actually do it. And if you can, then you're going to go forward with it successfully. And if you're not, you're going to go, well, I gave it my best shot, and, time to move on to something else.
Wash your hands of it. Okay.
Yeah. For Virgos, not so much. Mars has been in their 12th house of their own undoing. They did not have to have any kind of worst enemies because they were perfectly adept at doing themselves in. And now, over the next week or so, they find out the extent of that damage, how much damage they did to themselves, and where they're going to have to fight for their rights as a result of the stuff that they did. And they're going to find it's their own, I hate saying this, it's their own words that come back to haunt them. So they got to be really careful with the stuff that they say because their own words are going to be used against them over the next 3 or 4 weeks or so.
Like, wait a minute, did I say that? Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's like, well, what about when you said this? It's like, oh, yeah, I did, but, that kind of a deal. So the promise of this is that they will learn something important about that, and it will broaden their horizons a bit, expand allow them to think outside of their very strict boxes. Because Virgos, God bless us, we think we're the smartest people in the whole world, and we think we're right about everything. And occasionally we're wrong about something. Yeah, I know, it's hard to believe, isn't it, knowing Virgos? But, every now and then we are not only wrong, but dead wrong, like I am with basketball. Just dead wrong. And Virgos need to understand what is about them, it's what is it that in their faulty thought process is sort of where this energy is going to be. And each Virgo is going to behave differently with that.
Should I talk to my Virgo about that, or should I just let...
No, absolutely not. You should just sit back and enjoy it. Try not to gloat when, and try not to say the words, oh, look, you were wrong. They know that they're wrong. And you want to encourage the new thought process is what you want to do. You want to reward the new good behavior rather than beating them up over the old bad behavior kind of deal.
I love my Virgo's interest in golf recently. She's been kind of getting into it a little bit. She's a great athlete. You got to be careful because there's nothing I like better than beating the guy that I'm playing, that I'm dating at sports. I am worried about that.
And they hate that. Especially if she learns it right and she's a Virgo. If somebody shows her the exact right way to do something, she will then do that and duplicate it. And, the reason, women play in scrambles is because we hit the ball right down the middle of the fairway. It may not go 300 yards, but it's on the fairway, when we're done with it.
That way I can take a chance and just let it rip. And if it goes one way or another, it's fine.
Absolutely.
Just have the one straight down the middle.
That's exactly why you invite us to a scramble. And plus, we get the advantage of starting yards ahead of you. I always like to start on the other side of the water. Because quite honestly, I'm intimidated by water.
Not to mention, I just like watching her from behind with her swing.
She's good looking too. Yeah, it's not hard on the eyes. Think about some of the guys you play golf with, and think about Roe. It's like, hands down. Even I would want to watch Roe. That kind of deal. So for Virgos, you want to encourage that. And I used to turn my nose at the golf, like, God, how hard can it be? The ball doesn't move. No one's trying to stop you. It sits right there. You got all the time in the world. You choose whatever weapon you want to use.
Yep.
You can change your mind in the middle.
It's a game of many wins. I call it a game of many wins. When you go in the woods, you're gonna say, at least I didn't go into the other woods.
Exactly. At least I got past the ladies' team before I went in those woods. Yeah. So I'm quite. That's when I talk about Virgos changing their mind about something when they see how flawed their thought process was. That was me. Learning how to play golf. After being a softball player forever, it's like quite humbling actually. So. But it'd be good for you guys. It'll be something you could do together, and it'll be fun, and you can beat her from the beginning, so why not? And then here's the best part. As the Leo, when she gets better, and you go, see, I taught you everything you know.
Yeah, there you go.
Take credit for it. It's a wonderful thing.
I will.
For Libras, this is great energy for Libras. For Libras, this energy is in their 11th house of hopes, wishes, goals, and objectives. So all your friends with dimples, they're the ones that are going to somehow persuade the group to help the Libra get what the Libra wants. And Libras, they hate to go it alone. They're big fans of partnerships, one-on-one relationships. They work best when they're in some sort of team or partnership kind of a setting. And so they find out this week that their male friends, rather than their female friends, will help them achieve a long-standing hope, wish, goal, or objective. And I don't know whether the team needs the Libra on their team or the Libra needs to be on the team of the where Leo is. They're friends. I'm not sure which one it is.
Okay.
I just know that the outcome for Libra is they get to achieve a long-standing hope, wish, goal, objective, something they've been working off like the last 6 weeks or so.
Okay.
Comes to be for them.
Now, is that
so
the theme? Is that like, is there that time period, 6 weeks, is that the same with all the signs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a good question. Yes, because that's when Mars first went into Leo. And Mars goes into a sign every 22 months or so. It goes back. It takes 22 months to go through all 12 signs of the zodiac.
Gotcha.
So when it initially goes into a sign, like fires you up and goes, okay, well, we want to be passionate about all of these things. And then over the 6 weeks, they start a whole bunch of stuff. There are a whole bunch of shit up on the wall. Not all of it sticks.
Right.
And so when Mercury then comes into that sign, it says, okay, here's the information you need to have about the different things that you started. And here are the ones that are likely to be favorable for you and work out for you. And then if they're not in that group, then leave them by the curb. Okay. Don't try and resurrect them. That kind of a deal. So, yes, and that's the hard thing about astrology is we tend to, when we do a daily horoscope, we're looking at a snapshot of that day. Right. You know, I'm a much bigger fan of looking at it rather than a series of snapshots, but more like a film. Different cells of a film make up the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
You're right. Yeah.
You know, that kind of a thing. So, yes, you're correct in that. So it is the culmination of 6 weeks worth of effort, whether it's going to come to be or not.
Okay.
Yeah, think about it. Relationships, you know by 6 weeks whether it's going anywhere or not.
True.
Actually, men know in the first 30 seconds whether she's the right one for them or not. It takes them 6 weeks to just look for knockout factors, where women, it takes the full 6 weeks to be sure. So, but no, that's how long it takes to really, you know, to see how you really feel about something.
Gotcha.
So for Scorpios, this energy is in the 10th house of career and public standing. And for them, it's sort of they will find out this week which one of their, I want to say authoritarian things that they have put into motion work for them. Because Leo at the top of your chart sort of makes you that has to laugh because Joe Biden is that. You know, he's going to find out this week and next week, you know, how his sojourn through taking on, you know, confrontations.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the names here. Katy Perry, Jimmy Kimmel, Matthew McConaughey is a Scorpion as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's been run for governor, too. I think he will hate that job once he gets it.
I'm about to say.
You know, because he could get elected, but I just think, man, he's going to hate that job.
He seems to be living such a great life now. Why would you want to get into politics?
Why ruin it?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what Donald Trump is saying right about now, too. It's like, man, I had the smoothest life. You know, I was rich, we were popular, everything was great. Now it's like, man, I'm lucky to not get arrested this week. So, but for everywhere, Scorpios, it's put up or shut up time. It's professional, and there's professional information coming, and the Scorpio has to understand that this, I want to say it's like an evaluation, almost like a report card kind of thing. And instead of taking it personally and hating the person that tells them that, there is some sort of constructive kind of criticism that they truly need to embrace. And it's very hard for them to do that. So if there is professional criticism that comes to the Scorpio, you want to look at why they're saying that and think perhaps I should change my mind about how I think about that kind of a deal too, instead of just being offended by it.
If you're listening and you are you are working over or managing a Scorpio, is there a way you can? Is there an easy way to to do that? I mean,
we like to call that a praise sandwich, which is where we say, you know, you've done a really good job with this. However, this is the thing that would hinder you from getting to the next great level based on the stuff you did originally.
Okay.
You know, so praise and then the insult and then the praise after that to rehabilitate it.
There you go.
You know, and if you want to get rid of your Scorpio, just tell them straight up they effed up hard.
Yeah.
They'll get pissed off and leave. So it depends on where you're at as a manager, whether you want to keep them as an employee or not.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Heads up.
You know, because the energy simply is. The energy in astrology is not positive or negative. The energy just is. Okay. We choose how to direct that energy. If the energy is harmonious with our energy, it's easy for us to direct it positively. But if the energy is not harmonious or is discordant, as we like to say, with our own energy, if left to our own devices, we'll have a knee-jerk reaction that will be deleterious for us. So if we can find a way to accept that, you know, what it is that they're saying, you can embrace it and actually make it work for you. And it will pay off for you by December. So that's the thing that Scorpio's got to be aware of. It may not be an instant kind of gratification thing, but if they heed what the person is saying, because, you know, when they don't want to keep you, they don't tell you anything. You just look up one day and there's
just find out all of a sudden.
Yes. For Sagittarians, Sagittarians have been busy the last 6 weeks or so dealing with any kind of negotiations, contracts, agreements, legal matters, important stuff at a distance, anything having to do with making sure there's a paperwork foundation that's valid and real. And they find out this week which ones of those things are going to work.
Looking at some names here: Scarlett Johansson, Miley Cyrus, Tina Turner's Sagittarius. Of course,
I love Tina Turner. She still has great legs. Whenever I think about Sagittarians, Tina Turner is my favorite one. My other, Britney Spears, interestingly enough, is a Sagittarian.
Mm-hmm.
And she is fixing to find out, about her legal status. Can she get out of this contract? And yes, I think she can. I think that's what she finds out.
All right, over the weekend, I'm glad you brought her up, because over the weekend, I don't know if you saw the hand bra photos that she posted. That just kind of seemed to be, for somebody who's kind of posturing to contest a conservatorship, to post these kind of out of nowhere pictures, sexy pictures of her doing a hand bra. It just seemed a little off to me, but I guess that's the direction she wants to go. Is that falling in line with her right now?
Yes, in a bizarre desire to be free and to prove that she's her own person.
Okay,
I guess
I can do what I want.
I guess either that, or she's fixing to approach 40 and wants to make sure that she can still hold a pencil with those bad boys.
They're looking okay. I'm going to give them thumbs up.
Yeah. I think that might have a lot more to do with it than, I want to be free. It's like, look, they still are perky.
Yeah, there you go.
Because that is the saddest day in a woman's life, when she does that pencil test and it falls to the floor and you're like, oh,
the pencil test. Oh, wow, I'm learning
something. Yeah. So back to where were we? Sagittarius. So Sagittarians get the answer to whatever their legal, educational, or paperwork battle is. They get that answer.
Okay.
Which is kind of fun for them this week. And that should happen by the end of the week for them.
Okay.
And I hope she does. It's like, good Lord, she's almost 40, for crying out loud. I think she'll be 40 this year. So, yeah, she has the right to ruin her life if she wants to. Capricorn, And I think a lot of it has to do with having children. She's got a court-ordered IUD.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hooey.
That's nuts.
Honest to God, out of all of the things, I can understand, a lot of stuff, but man, a court-ordered IUD. Holy shit! Can you imagine saying that to a man?
Yeah, that puts it in perspective right there for sure. And you're right.
Yeah.
No one says that when she gets rid of the conservatorship, their life's going to go splendid. It's just her having the right to make decisions whether they're good or bad. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. For Capricorns, this energy is about finances, other people's money. They have been trying to find a way. They have to find a way to deal with fluctuations in their finances. Mars has been in that 8th house for the last 6 weeks or so. They've been spending a lot of money. They've had money come in. They've had money go out. They made money. Everything has to do with money and other people's resources. And it really speaks to the fear of Capricorns, because Capricorns have a deep-rooted fear of being homeless. I don't know what it is about them, but they have this deep-rooted, I don't know, maybe it's a past life thing. You incarnated Capricorn. At one point or another, you were homeless in a previous incarnation. And that's their biggest fear, literally. So it's a good time for them to trot out that fear, take a hard look at it and go, okay, what can I do to make sure this doesn't happen to me?
Interesting.
And to really evaluate the resources you share with other people. It has to do with, because it's what we're afraid of are the things that drive us and motivate us and how we give power to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good idea to figure out what it is. And, okay, if that worst-case scenario happens, what would I do? Where would I go? What would I do? How would I react, kind of thing. And they should find out this week or next week whether, that the plan that they've embarked on is a solid one for them. So that's kind of good. That's not a negative energy for them in the least. It's a good time to take a state of the finance check. That's what I like to call that for Capricorn.
I'm looking at Ryan Seacrest. His finances are just fine. I don't think he's going to be an exception. He doesn't have to worry about being homeless at all.
Golly, no, I guess not. I don't like that. For Aquarius, this energy is in their, this energy for them has been in their 7th house of partnerships, intimate one-to-one relationships, and open enemies. And they've had wins and losses in both of those areas or those affairs of their life. And now they find out the dust is sort of going to settle, and they will find out, over the next week or so if younger people really are their allies, if they're really on the same team as them, if they all have the same objective. Because the Aquarius is trying very, very hard to make a new start. They began this new start in January of this year. It'll be complete by December.
Wow.
And a lot of times when you make a new start, when you break away from something, you know, the people that you were with go, hey, we weren't ready for you to do that yet. You know, and so when I think of that, I think about the Lightning and what they're doing with, you know, acquiring new people and who they're going to get rid of and who's going to go and who is going to stay. And so many of them are Aquarians.
Yeah, here's a name for you. Ellen DeGeneres fits that mold, exactly what you're saying right now. She backed away from that TV show and she's trying to start something new. Wow, it's interesting. And you know, I think people get contemptuous after they've done something successfully for a long time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, to feel like, well, there could be more. And sometimes, you know what, there isn't more. You know, sometimes that is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
And
you got to be ready for that.
Oh, yeah. Oprah did that when she left her daytime show and went and said, I'm going to do an Oprah network. And it's like, dude, there's a big difference doing a show once a day, you know, once a week.
Yeah.
And doing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you know, so sometimes they lose sight of that. But, you know, that's what this energy is for, is to find out what's going to work and what's not going to work, who's with you and who's against you. And more importantly, when you're rebranding yourself, that you're rebranding yourself as something that's true to you, not just what other people want you to do. So that's what Aquarians find out this week.
There you go.
For Pisces, this energy for them is in their sixth house of health, work, and responsibilities. And so I imagine Pisces have had some health issues. I imagine they've also had some work issues. There's some sort of pride issues going on at work. They're trying to make changes, either not in the job that they do, but actually literally where it is they do their job.
Okay.
And I know that there have been, you know, changes going on with that, and that they find out, and they've been in sort of a limbo kind of state, not really knowing what they're doing. But as this energy comes into play, they find that their hard work paid off, and they do get noticed, and they get the award for the achievement that they were looking for. So, you know, we saw that with a couple of our Olympians over the weekend. A couple of those Pisces Olympians were very surprised to find out that they didn't. Katie Ledecky got beat, and Simone Biles.
Yeah.
You know, both of them. You know, it was like, and they were like, whoa.
You know,
wait a minute. Yeah.
I thought I was glad you mentioned that, because you got Simone Biles, who I believe seems to feed off that crowd when she's getting her ready to do her thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But more importantly, I think for a lot of the athletes, they get kind of complacent. It's like, oh yeah, I got this. You know, again, starting to believe your own press. And then, we saw the Lightning did that too. You know, it's like, hey, we're going to go kill everybody. It was like first game they lost. They were like, whoa, sorry, we forgot what we were playing in. You know, and then they got serious. And, you know, but it's that kind of a thing. I think for both of them that, I don't want to say put the fear of God in them, but it put the fear of God in them. It's like, wait a minute, there are athletes better than me. Yes. You know, you're going to have to bring your A game. And I think both of them will be able to do that. And that's what Mercury going into their sign is. They were sort of looking at it more of the sport and the entertainment rather than this is a job.
Right.
I'm going to have to work to win this. You know what I mean? It's that kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
So, and I think it elicits the very best response, the best play, too. You know, we saw them in Oklahoma. You know, they went on to win the World Series. You know, the Oklahoma softball team went on to win the World Series. Yeah, they did. But they lost that first game to James Madison, and it stunned them. They hadn't lost a game in like 2 seasons.
That'll wake you right on up.
Yeah, absolutely will.
Who knows? Simone Biles might be going on a run after this. So hopefully that's the case.
Yeah. Oh, I think that she will. I think both, and Katie Ledecky too. I think both of them will. So, you know, I think that's great. Did we have one Olympic gold winner?
Yes, we did.
A chick from Clearwater, a Sagittarian, by the way. A Sagittarian. So, gotta like that. Yeah. Okay, so for Aries, what is Aries doing? Aries wants to have fun. Aries has been trying to have fun. They've been hanging with kids, lovers. They've been playing a lot. I feel bad for, for Aries. That good time is almost like summer's coming to an end. This is like the last week of it, and then they got to get back to work. You know, so and for them, it's been they've only really cared about what can I do to have a good time. It's pretty much where their interest is laid. You know, if they were single, they were attracted to somebody, and then we'll find out over the next week or so whether it's the real deal or not. which is always kind of a fun thing.
I was just, my youngest daughter's Aries, and she just recently seems like she's gotten in a good spot, and she's actually doing really well, getting like top of her class in her welding classes that she's doing.
Oh, super.
Yeah.
Because next week is starting next week when Mars goes into Virgo.
Yeah.
That's when she gets a job offer.
Ooh.
Even though she's still in class, that's when she gets the job offer. That's when she gets noticed that where she will end up. And believe it or not, it's because she does precision work, fast precision work.
Good.
Would be the reason she gets it. So
excellent.
Yeah. It's a very fun, creative time for Aries. Which unfortunately they have to go back to work next week, so they need to enjoy it this week while they can.
Gotcha.
For Tauruses, this energy the last 6 weeks has been very challenging for Tauruses. Mars has been in their fourth house of home, the foundations, the nadir, the lowest part of their chart. Leo squares Taurus. Mm-hmm. So it's been very, very challenging energy for 6 weeks. And they're over it. It's beyond their last nerve.
We're obviously thinking about AJ when you say this because...
I'm thinking about that as I'm just... Now that you mentioned it, yes, I am thinking about AJ. Because I was thinking about AJ before with Aries, because under her rising signs like mine, Aries, which is a lot of fun with kids, hanging with lovers. And I'm like, yeah, if you're quarantined with them, that probably sucks.
Yeah.
That's what I was just thinking, which was what got me to Taurus. But no, for all of them, everywhere. Mars squaring your sign blows. It's sort of like... It's stuff that Yes, you have a responsibility to it, but still, it still sucks. And even if you brought out yourself, you don't care. It still sucks. That kind of energy. But for them, this is the last week of that crap. And then Mars gets into Virgo. They get their smile back. They get their energy back. They get their vitality back. So this is the last week they're probably going to spend at home before, and I don't want to say in their dungeon of resentment, but yeah, pretty much in their dungeon of resentment.
Okay.
Kind of where you're at for a bit, unfortunately. It happens every 2 years or so, and for them, it's right now. Thank God it's over. I would have hated to tell her this a couple of weeks ago. That's what you get to look forward to. Yay! So, yeah, no, I'm kind of glad not to have to tell her that. So maybe she won't listen to this.
Maybe she won't. We won't tell her about this podcast.
We won't tell her about it. On to Gemini. The Geminis have taken their show on the road. They have been short distance, short duration traveling. They've been doing outs and backs. They've been putting out inquiries. They've been reaching out to people. They've been doing everything they can to expand their realm of influence. And this week they find out how well it worked for them or not, whether or not they've reached the audience that they were interested in reaching, or their message being on brand. They have really tried very hard to be innovative with that energy, but it really is all about the Gemini, promoting the Gemini's thoughts, the Gemini's ideas, and the Gemini getting other people to go along with the Gemini's plan, whatever that is.
Gotcha.
So, and I don't think that plan has really taken good shape yet, but this is more a gauge of let me see how I can use my words to get me what it is that I want. Kind of what Geminis are doing.
Okay.
Their pitches on. So they'll find out this week whether it worked or not. And if it didn't, then they'll take 6 weeks to revise their plan. We'll talk about that next week, though. So, but for them right now, short distance, short duration travel, outs and backs, reaching out and communicating to as many people as humanly possible, what they're trying to do. So hopefully it'll get a good result for them.
Good.
I don't see any Geminis here that we've been talking about.
I'm looking at a few names here. I got Amy Schumer, but nobody's really into the in the spotlight right now. Just
right, because it's not that kind of energy. It's not that kind of energy. Yeah. It's not that kind of energy.
Kanye West, I guess maybe he's a little bit.
That's crazy. I love him. He's a lunatic. He to me is the quintessence. He and Donald Trump are my two favorite Geminis. Yeah. Cut from the same piece of cloth. Those two, charming and crazy. It's great. For Cancer, it's the last sign of the zodiac. But they are very creative. I mean, you have to admit they're very creative group.
No doubt about that.
And their ideas, they certainly have influenced numbers, large numbers of people. They've reached with their words, their thoughts, their ideas, and their concept of reality. It's a beautiful thing, kind of like that. Cancer is the last time we're going to talk about this energy. They have spent a boatload of money the last 6 weeks or so, and I have to laugh because the United States is a Cancer, and the U.S. government just started sending out checks to people for having kids. Kind of like that. And they're going to, you got a kid?
We've talked about this, about all this money flying out, and it's just crazy what times we're in right now.
Yeah, Mars and Leo. Hopefully that stuff will stop, in a week or so. Once Mars gets into Virgo, but right now it is information and word about making more money, spending more money, making more money. But I think it has to do with, okay, yeah, you're spending a lot of money. Mars and Leo the last 6 weeks. So yeah, we're going to spend a lot of money. Mercury and Leo now is like, okay, how are we going to pay for it? Yeah. Okay, how are we going to Mercury and to Leo's everywhere?
Yeah.
So like, okay, now we've done all this and we're committed to all this, what do we need to do? What can we do to make more money to be able to sustain the stuff we've already put into motion?
There you go.
And I'm interested in that answer, too. I'm curious what they're going to do about it. I think they should. I personally think what they're going to do, and this is just my personal opinion, is that they're going to federally eliminate the stigma against marijuana, decriminalize it,
tax
and slap a federal tax on it. You betcha.
They'll be able to keep giving out money then at that point.
Absolutely. Colorado
we got lots of money now.
Yeah. We go, oh, thank God. I don't see any difference between that, a cigarette tax, a liquor tax, golly, a marijuana tax. Absolutely. Hands down. There's already, legislation in place for it. The 1916 Harrison Act, and then there was another one in like 1947 until. But at any rate, I think ultimately that's going to be the solution that I hope comes from Mercury and Leo saying, okay, here's how we're going to pay for it. Be like, yay. Yeah. So it's tomorrow's news today for the 12 signs of the zodiac. I know I kind of rambled on and on and on.
I think we
got a Mercury and Leo thing.
we discussed a lot of stuff here. I was rambling myself, but it was a good conversation. And every time we do this, we get the emails from everybody with your questions following Monday. Yeah. If you want to ask Star Goddess a question, 800-737-0098. And of course, you can get them to me, crash98rock.com. And we'll see you next Monday, Star Goddess.
Oh, it's a pleasure, sir. Have a good week.
That's the Star Goddess podcast on the Crash and AJ blog weekly right here on 98rock.com.